Do presidents, any president, generally appoint people that they agree with on social and economic policy?
I believe that presidents appoint people whose
That's
policies...
a yes, isn't it?
Yes.
Are you personally responsible for everything President Trump says? Does he call you up and say, Stephen, I'm about to say this and I want your approval? Does he do that?
Never.
My good friend Senator Warren says, you're Donald Trump's puppet. Are you Donald Trump's puppet?
Senator Kennedy.
Dr. Miran, do presidents, any president, generally appoint their enemies?
Thank you, Senator, for the question.
Don't thank me. It just takes up time.
I believe that when they nominate them,
do they generally appoint their enemies?
They don't believe they are when they're making.
Do presidents, any president, generally appoint people that they agree with on social and economic policy?
I believe that presidents appoint people whose
That's
policies...
a yes, isn't it?
Yes.
Because we live in the real world, don't we?
Yes.
Are you personally responsible for everything President Trump says?
No, my role as the chairman of the...
Before President Trump says something as President of the United States, does he call you up and say, Stephen, I'm about to say this and I want your approval? Does he do that?
Never.
And after the president says something, does he call you up and say, Stephen, was that okay? Are you okay with this?
Nope, I have an advisory role.
Okay. Now, sometimes intelligent adults, reasonable people disagree. Is that true?
Very often.
Is it part of your job description when you disagree with something the president says to call a press conference and say, he's wrong about this and let me explain to you why? Is that part of your job description?
Not as CH.
Is that part of the job description of any aide that you know of to President Biden?
No.
How about for President Obama?
No.
How about for President Clinton?
No.
We don't live in La La Land, do we? Do we?
No.
Now, monetary policy is important, and the Fed is in charge of it. But monetary policy is not the only thing that's important. Fiscal policy is important, isn't it?
Fiscal policy is extremely important.
And I don't care how low the Federal Reserve lowers interest rates. If the United States Congress is profligate in its spending, if it spends money like it's pond water, if it runs up $37 trillion in debt, and deficit spends to the tune of 7% every year, that also has an impact on employment and economic growth and inflation, does it not?
Absolutely, and I think people often make a mistake by looking solely at monetary policy when fiscal policy is a huge driver.
And in fact, the Federal Reserve can lower short-term rates through the Open Market Committee all you want. But that doesn't necessarily mean that long rates, 10 years and above, are going to go down, does it?
Not necessarily.
Right, because if the bond market counts too, doesn't it?
Of course.
If the bond, you can lower rates as low as you want to, but if the bond market thinks that inflation is on the horizon, those rates are going to keep going up or at least stay steady. Isn't that accurate?
Yes, the Federal Reserve does not control the long end of the yield curve.
Okay, so what Congress does matters, doesn't it?
Hugely.
My good friend Senator Warren says, you're Donald Trump's puppet. Are you Donald Trump's puppet?
Not at all. I'm very independently minded, as shown by my willingness to stray from consensus and have out-of-consensus views, and I believe that, I will continue to be as independent, in my thinking process, if confirmed.
We're going to hold you to that, Governor, future Governor. You need to call them like you see them. There's nothing wrong with politicians in Washington offering their opinions. You can't stop them. But we need a monetary plan that was put together by something other than vodka and darts. And that's what we had the Federal Reserve for. Now, you're going to get a lot of advice from politicians. I'm not saying they're always wrong. Even a blind chicken finds a mealworm now and then. But you've got to call them like you see them. And ignore, nothing wrong with people giving their advice, but ignore all the rhetoric from all politicians. Will you give me that commitment?
I do commit to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Kim.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Dr. Miran, I wanted to just pick up on something that you said earlier. So if I heard you correctly, if you are confirmed to this, you are not going to resign from your current position at the White House?
Thank you, Senator. I have been advised by counsel that the legal approach is to take a unpaid leave of absence from the Council of Economic Advisors, cease my CE activities, and if counsel advises me otherwise, I will follow the law and follow counsel's advice.
I guess I just wanted to ask you, why did counsel advise you in that way? You have every right to just say, no, I'm going to resign.
Well, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't answer why they advise me that way. But
you can determine your own career. You know that, right?
No, yes, I know that. And
yeah. And so you want to go back to the Council on Economic Advisors after this term. Is that correct?
Well, I don't know what will happen. You know, the term for which I've been nominated is 4.5 months. If I am nominated and confirmed for a longer term than just a handful of months, I would absolutely resign.
So I guess, you tried to excuse this by saying that this is because, the whole package of reforms wasn't adopted. But I guess I just want to read your own words back to you. You said short-circuiting the revolving door between the Fed and the executive branch is critical to reducing the incentives for officials to act in the short-term political interest of the president. Do you still agree with that statement?
Thank you, Senator. As I said before, I believe that reform of the Fed has to be...
I get that. I understand your excuse on that front, but do you agree with the statement I just read back to you?
I think that considerations like that need to be taken in context of an overall package of reforms and not looked at in isolation.
Okay. Well, look, I think that this very clearly shows that the reason we don't want actions like what is happening before us is because you could very well be continuing to act in a way that is in the political interest of the president because he is going to be your future boss again at the White House. And so it's one of those things where, like, I'm just trying to think about, why do you even want this job at the Fed for 4 months if you're just, hedging your bets and just continuing to hold your position at the White House? I wanted to just continue on a little bit here because you said something I wanted to dig into. You said excessive control by elected political actors, parentheses, like the president, interferes in good policy and results in bad economic outcomes. Is that something you said?
Senator, I believe that political interference in monetary policy in making decisions, sort of can erode the outcomes, and that it's important for the Federal Reserve to be insulated from the political cycle.
Okay, insulated from the political cycle. And here you said excessive control. What is excessive control?
Well, I don't have a precise formal definition of that in my head, Senator.
Okay, well, I guess maybe I'll walk you through a couple of things here. You were saying that you'd like to clarify that members serve at the will of the U.S. president.
Senator, I believe that members can be removed for cause. I believe the Federal Reserve Act specifies that members can be removed for cause after they've been.
I know. I'm just looking at your list of reforms that you like, and it sounded like you said clarify that the members serve at the will of the president. I guess I wanted to just ask you, would it be appropriate for a new president to come in, get rid of everybody on the board, and put in entirely new appointments at the beginning of each presidency. Is that appropriate?
You're referring to the reform proposal, not to current law.
I'm referring to your beliefs, yes.
Well, so as I said before, the reform proposal was a package deal with a series of checks and balances, and that was one check, but there's offset by other balances and other checks that would diffuse power throughout the Federal Reserve System. That's why we refer to it as a form of monetary federalism.